all the way from Tampa, Florida to the cold, frigid tundra, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Fantastic advisor, Matt Thompson. How are we doing?
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Very welcome. So what started this career for you? Why did you want to become a financial advisor?
I didn't. This is all dumb luck, honestly. So when I finished my swimming career, before my senior year of college, I was frustrated with how the whole process went. So I knew I was done swimming. I just wanted to kind of figure it out. And I asked my academic advisor at the time, what can I graduate with as soon as possible? And the answer was anthropology.
That's totally correlated to financial advisory.
100%. So it's kind of a laughing, running joke, if you will. But I knew I could figure something out from there. So I luckily stumbled into an internship opportunity that I was introduced to at, they call it Recruit Around Fair or whatever, the recruiting thing for the athletes at the school I went to at University of Florida. And I was not open to the internship opportunity at all. But thankfully the managing director had called me a few days and just kind of coerced me and said, look, just come talk to me. And if you don't want to talk to me after that, that's fine, but just come have a conversation. So after about 3 hours sitting down with him, I was starting the process to get everything going. And the key impacts or I didn't know what I wanted to do professionally, but I knew that there were 3 things that were non-negotiables for me to have intact with whatever I chose. The first was the work I was going to do needed to matter and do good for others. I didn't want to ever go to bed at night knowing that probably shouldn't have done that, or they didn't need to buy that car or whatever it was. I wanted the work that I did to matter and make an impact in other people's lives. That was a non-negotiable number one. The second was I wanted my income to be based off of my performance. As a swimmer, it's a very interdependent sport, meaning training, you're training side by side with your teammates every day, but you get on the blocks by yourself and your performance is based off of what you did. And that is just kind of the language that I've learned to speak and how I've been conditioned. So I wanted my performance to determine my income ultimately. The idea of getting the same paycheck as the person sitting next to you, knowing that you tried harder than they did, just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And the third thing was autonomy and control of my time. Growing up, my parents, my dad was in sales and my mom's a nurse, and they did okay. But when my sisters and I were swimming, it was almost always one or the other parent that was there to watch us. And that was normal for me. I didn't know anything different. I never thought about it twice. But when I was in college, there were teammates of mine that no matter how significant or insignificant the meet was, what day of the week it was, where it was throughout the entire country, both of their parents were there. And I didn't realize that until I was done swimming and I started thinking about what my future looks like and so on. And I realized how cool that was. So I knew that I wanted to be able to control my time so that I didn't ever miss, a ballet recital or a school play or a soccer game or a swim meet or parent-teacher conference, pickup, drop-off, whatever it was. I always want to be present, for my family in the future. So after speaking to my first mentor in the business and learning about the work that he was doing and his time that he was late getting to the office that morning because he had donuts with dad with his son, I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing.
That's awesome. So you were an elite swimmer. Florida's one of the elite programs. You're swimming next to Olympians and future Olympians. What disciplines and what maybe success did you take from the pool, from them, that's parlayed to your success in the career?
Yeah. So to be very clear, I was pretty good, but I was by no means the best on my team at all. Just total transparency. I think, there's a ton, but I think swimming, again, being a very interdependent sport, is very much like this business as well, right? You're in the office, you're shoulder to shoulder with other advisors that are, fighting to see people, and they're in meetings, and we get hung up on, we get rejected, this happens out of our control, et cetera. So you're going through the hard stuff together, but you're in your own meetings, right? But having that support system and that people around you to speak the same language and understand what you're going through is always very helpful, especially on those harder days where you need to get picked up and so on. But again, I just think that probably the biggest thing is what you put into something is directly correlated to what you get out of it.
Yep. And
there's a lot of, I think, pressure that comes with that, but it's also very empowering at the same time, because at the end of the day, it's all up to you.
Yeah. Well, what's been a client impact story that you've had over the number of years you've been in the business that's really either impacted you personally or motivated you?
Yeah, I think there's one particular client. I won't say his full name, but his name's Joe. I started working with him as he was finishing his residency. He's a physician. And, the first kind of baseline checkpoint, if you will, of planning with our clients that are in residency or fellowship, and is to solidify the infrastructure of their plan. That's typically getting the correct protection in place for disability insurance, life insurance when relevant, helping them learn about money, but also develop some good habits around saving anything if they can, and then protecting them from themselves when their income jumps substantially and
goes up 10, 15 times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of that doctoritis, as we call it. And Joe's been great since day one. Super, super kind guy. Just incredible story. His parents were war refugees from Vietnam, and just very, very good guy. But we had applied for disability insurance, and he got rated on the policy originally. And it wasn't a significant rating. He got approved for the full benefit amount and everything, but there was a rating because he had been prescribed a medicine from one of his attendings during residency because he was having some chronic headaches. He assumed it was no big deal, chalked it up. Hey, I'm overworked and I'm underpaid right now, which is normal. I'm studying for boards. I'm taking on more than I should. It's just temporary, and so be it. But we got approved. We had the rating on the policy with a reconsideration, 1 year later. Well, somewhat out of character for me, I had the mental fortitude to make sure that I followed up with him about that reconsideration because I knew it was important. Mm-hmm. And we proceeded to get reconsidered. The condition was he had to have this MRI that had been prescribed, but he hadn't gotten it done, or it was a CT scan. So we're talking through the reconsideration on the disability policy rating, and he, follows through and actually goes and gets that CT scan. And what they found was a tumor. And I don't know the right terminology on this medically, but what he explained to me was that basically him buying disability insurance saved his life because buying the disability got the rating, which kind of annoyed him.
Yeah, because he had to pay more money.
Right. A little bit, not much, but yeah. And so he gets the rating. We do the reconsideration, which really serves as the accountability piece for him to get the CT scan that he never got done, right? Which finds the tumor that, as he explained it, was something that he would have never paid any attention to or really known to be aware of or known about at all, because where it was and the way it was going to grow, basically it would have just ultimately become a tipping point where he would have dropped dead in the middle of a shift. And because we were proactive on that reconsideration to get the CT, caught it well in advance before it was ever a true problem. And that was really cool. Unfortunately, he's on a disability claim. And he has been for a couple of years now, but the cool part about it is everything has come full circle in terms of planning with him, because as he's progressed in his career, we started putting money into different tools, insurance products, investment accounts, of course, as well. And then he goes on claim, and he's had surgeries, and he's had kind of a rough recovery. He's doing better, but everything that we're taught and told early in our career about this is why we do these things this way, and the plan comes together and you know, comprehensively, everything's come to fruition with Joe. And being his advocate with getting the claim finished, getting him paid, it's just, everything has just come, unfortunately, full circle.
Yeah.
But fortunately, we did what we needed to do. And that was really cool to see it all come together.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's the one thing you wish everyone knew about money?
Money is the fuel that enables us to drive the engines of our lives, the direction, speed, and distance that we desire. It's not the most important thing by any means, but that's what it is. And at the end of the day, I think people need to be proactive and thoughtful and intentional with their finances, because we don't want to be, I'm never going to tell any client to save every penny that they can find for a day that's not promised, because we don't need to be the richest person in the graveyard. But we also can't do the other extreme of spend every penny today, because at some point we're going to want to step away from our careers and live independently and so on. So we've got to find that balance of enjoying our life and lifestyle today, but also be mindful of future us to enable them to do the same thing when they're ready to do so. And I think that having a plan of action provides peace of mind.
Yep, 100%. And why do you continue to invest your time and energy into development events like Rhino Boot Camp?
It's always, to me, fun to get around people that are like-minded, but provide different perspectives. You never know who you're going to meet, what you're going to learn from them. We can all absorb the same content, information, etc., and receive it completely differently at the same time, based on our own perspective. So being able to be collaborative and steal other people's ideas and share and so on is always great. But to me, it's to prevent boredom. I don't have the patience to sit and do the same thing every single day, just like the day before. That to me sounds horrible. The great part about what we do is every person is different, every client's different, right? So even though it even might be the same type of work, every experience is different. That keeps it fun and fresh. But on a personal level, I think stagnation leads to boredom, and just like going crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just fun to keep learning and you know, to never be satisfied, and just continue to grow and develop. To me, that's enjoy. I find joy in doing that, I guess.
Enjoyable.
Enjoyable. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there you go. Great work.
Awesome. Thank you.